The moment Vegeta finally beats Goku is one of the most unique in the series, as there's no beam struggles, no power-ups, no screams or aura farming, but just Vegeta sitting still, thinking. He finally beats his rival, not in a fight, but in the one place Goku could never reach, Vegeta's own pride. On paper, the Goku-Vegeta rivalry is simple. Low-class Saiyan versus Prince of all Saiyans. Effort versus destiny. Joy versus obsession. Goku trains because he loves it, Vegeta trains because he has to. For most of Dragon Ball Z, we're trained to read their relationship through wins and losses. Goku beats Vegeta on Earth, Vegeta thinks he's caught up on Namek before Goku shows up, showing him up. Vegeta catches up in time for the androids, saving Goku's life finally. Goku then surpasses him by a mile in the time chamber, and so on. Scoreboard thinking, but that framing misses the point entirely, because for Vegeta, this was never about power levels, it was about meaning. Throughout the series, he's brash, arrogant, loves a good monologue, but this pride of Vegeta's isn't confidence, it's fear. Vegeta's entire identity is built on one idea. I am the Prince of all Saiyans. I am supposed to be the best, and if that isn't true, then what am I? That inner voice never rests, and because of that, Vegeta never rests either. Pride doesn't push him forward, it traps him in a loop of comparison. Pride isn't his armor, it's his cage. Goku threatens Vegeta not because he's stronger, but because Goku exists without needing a reason. Not caring about royalty or legacy, or even really about winning, he fights for the fun of it, just simply to get better for himself. And that's unbearable for someone whose whole self-worth depends on being superior. So Vegeta keeps chasing him, training harder. In fact, he doesn't just train, he punishes himself. He uses suffering to justify his existence. Every loss becomes fuel for more punishment. Every failure becomes proof he deserves the pain. Gravity chambers that crush bones, lonely sessions that last days, an obsession so total it costs him sleep, warmth and connection. He pushes his body to breaking, losing pieces of himself just to keep up. And yet, he almost never wins. Not the fights that matter, not the rivalry that defines him, not the life he thinks he's supposed to have. If effort alone decided greatness, Vegeta would be unbeatable. But effort isn't the same thing as growth, and suffering isn't the same thing as progress. Vegeta proves something uncomfortable. Hard work without self-awareness doesn't lead to victory, it leads to burnout. While Goku trains because he's curious, Vegeta trains because he's terrified. Terrified of being irrelevant, terrified of being surpassed, terrified that if he stops, even for a moment, he'll be left behind forever. That fear sharpens him, but it also blinds him. Every training session is framed as a race, every transformation as a response, every power-up as proof that he's still worthy. While Goku improves organically, Vegeta improves reactively, and reaction is always slower than joy. Until the Cell arc ends. Vegeta, after almost costing the lives of all of his loved ones because of his own pride, arrogance and selfishness, still to be one-upped not just by Goku, but Goku's son temporarily quits fighting. And for a while afterwards, it seemed Vegeta was training just for self-improvement. Without Goku around for him to compare himself to, Vegeta could get over his addiction of superiority. He even trained with his son Trunks, having training go from an isolating punishment to a bonding moment with a loved one. And training this way helped him improve dramatically, getting to the strength of Gohan when he beat Cell. In comparison, Gohan probably would have been able to one-tap Vegeta at the end of the Cell arc. Then, the trigger for his addiction returns. Seeing Goku right there in front of him, having the very real possibility of fighting him in the World Martial Arts Tournament, awakens the fatal pride inside his soul that lay dormant for the last 7 years. 7 years of sobriety being tested by the sight of a cold beer on a bar stool. The anxiety of needing to be the most powerful had returned, clouding his mind to any rational thought, which in my opinion means Majin Vegeta wasn't a power-up, it was a relapse. Vegeta lets Babidi control him, not because he's weak, but because he's desperate. Desperate to go back to a time where the world made sense, when power equaled worth, when beating Goku would fix everything.
I wanted him to return me to the way I was before!
And for a moment, it almost feels like it works. They fight, they clash, they finally settle the score. But even then, something's off. Vegeta wins that fight, and yet nothing changes. No relief, no satisfaction, no peace, because deep down he already knows a truth he won't admit until much later. But beforehand we see his brightest moment thus far, metaphorically and literally. Standing in the way of a monster his selfishness helped create, he allowed the connection in his life that he once gave very little value to take top priority, hugging his son before knocking him and Goku's son out, letting Piccolo take them away, but not before asking if he'll ever get the chance to see Goku again in the other world. Piccolo admits that he won't, and Vegeta, who at any point earlier in the series would not be able to come to grips with this reality, makes peace with it, finally silencing the voices, the demons in his mind that have plagued him for so long, taking himself and the monster Buu out with one final blast, before Buu Saga shenanigans bring him back a few dozen episodes later. What was clearly 10 times harder for him to stomach than unaliving himself was actually having to join bodies with his greatest rival. Imagine having the person who you respect but also kind of hate the most in the world being able to see, feel and be every part of you forever in your mind, and yet for the sake of his loved ones he accepts and joins bodies with Goku, only to split up again not long after because of Buu Saga shenanigans. Finally, the moment arrives as Goku, who has surpassed him once again, battles Kid Buu for the faith of their loved ones. Vegeta is exhausted, physically and existentially. He has chased Goku across planets, timelines and transformations, and it never ends until it does.
You're better than me, Kakarot. You are the best.
Vegeta finally says it out loud. He admits that Goku is better than him. Not because Goku trained harder, not because he has more potential, but because Goku never let his pride control him. Goku fights to improve, Vegeta fought to prove. And that difference mattered more than any transformation. This is the first time in the entire series that Vegeta stops lying to himself. And that's the victory. Admitting Goku was better didn't make Vegeta smaller, it freed him. Vegeta steps up to let QB1 rest up, humbly being a punching bag, knowing Goku's gonna come take all the glory. With his trigger right there next to him, he chooses sobriety, finally fighting not to catch up but to protect a family, a planet, a future. He becomes a man who chooses where he stands, not one trapped by where he came from. That's why this moment hits harder than any final flash, because strength isn't just about overpowering your rival, sometimes it's about letting them go. This scene resonates because it mirrors something deeply human. I think we all have a Goku, a goal, a girl, a job we base our whole worth on attaining, and every day we don't get any closer to that goal, we beat ourselves up about it. Now, goals are a fantastic thing to strive for, motivating yourself to get better, but I do feel as though at night when you're staring at your ceiling, even though the goal you're looking for is still out of reach, as long as you're 1% better than you were this time last night, it was a progressive day. Very often, those 1% add up, allowing you to achieve goals that far exceed your original. Vegeta didn't lose his pride, he redefined it. The day Vegeta admitted Goku was better than him was the day he finally stopped being second place. Not because he surpassed Goku, but because he surpassed the version of himself that needed to. And that's why this moment isn't a loss, it's the quietest and greatest win of Vegeta's life.